key to personal success, I found, is to pray, to share, to cry, and laugh. Those four things took me from being a bum on the streets to a successful Native man. I was home alone a lot. I was in foster care a lot. I was always raised by strangers in my early childhood because my siblings were all in boarding school, and my parents drank, and I was left at foster care or different babysitters. And this is where a lot of the abuse that I endured happened. It was acceptable for a man to beat his wife and not be pressed charges, no police. It was acceptable for kids to be sitting outside a bar in a car, no child welfare. We just sat there, you know. So it was a really different time, a time of survival for me. I grew up in a time where we didn't see natives own businesses. We didn't see that stuff, you know. As a teenager, I started my own business. I became a drug dealer, you know, and I wasn't a very good drug dealer because I did all my drugs, but I was very dangerous to my people because what I was doing is I was selling drugs to the youth. You know, and within our communities, we all know who the drug dealers are. We just don't do nothing about it, right? Finally, they did something. They BCR'd me off the reserve. But by that time, the kids knew how to get off the reserve and come find me in town. And I got a lot of my people sick, and that's how it started. And then I ended up becoming a bad alcoholic, a bad drug addict, and I ended up on the streets. I was a bum on the streets of Edmonton back in 1984. I was walking the streets with people who pushed carts, people who drank wine, the winos. I slept during the day at the riverbank, and at that time I knew that I was pretty sick. And I was really, really fortunate back then that there was no crystal meth, there was no crack, there was none of that stuff, because that would have finished me off. The amount of I was like a little anteater. I just consumed everything, and that's kind of how it was from the pain that I had inside of me. So what happened is I went to rehab, and being a young Native guy, I went to rehab to deal with some of my issues. I walked in, they had a drum, they had sweetgrass, they had a circle, you know, they had elders, you know, and it was important. And I remember being welcomed there and being told the truth about who I was, and I flopped around, I escaped, and then I left, and finally I sobered up in 1985. I walked out of treatment. And that was an experience in itself, because back then there were no young, sober Native males. You know, there were just none. Everybody drank and drank hard, you know, and partied and gave her. Anybody who was brown got hammered, you know, and that's how it was. So when people seen me, and they see me, they went, okay, Don. And they met me, they went, okay, Don, you're young, you're Native, and you're sober. What's wrong with you? They didn't know how to take me. White people didn't know how to take me. My people didn't know how to take me. When I left my community, I left for a year and a half. I left for a year and a half because I knew once I left my community to go to rehab, I knew I didn't want to go back, because everybody drank. All my family drank, my friends, everybody. So I went and found a sober community. There was a sober community in BC called Elkla Lake. And I stayed there with the people, and they accepted me. And that's where I established my new life. And then coming out of that, because I was a young guy and I was considered a role model back then for young people, they asked me to go and speak, go and talk to high schools about addictions and about with youth and stuff like that. So all of a sudden I started getting asked to speak and to tell my story. And then they started paying me. I was like, hey, and paying me to tell my story. Okay, you know. It was a different time. And then the 90s came in, and then, you know, internet started. You know, the World Wide Web started in 1991, and this is when this whole speaking thing took off, and that's when I turned into a business. You know, I started taking going into communities, working with our young people, and saving lives, inspiring. So instead of waiting for them in a treatment center for them to become alcoholics and see the light, I got into this thing where preventing and intervention. And I would go into communities and, with some training with other community members, adults. I would take 30 of the high risk, high crisis, the crazy ones, the ones that in the community, these young ones, and I'll take them into a camp for 10 days. In 10 days, we'll do a behavior modification, and then what happened would bring them all back into the community after. And then it was young people that were motivating the adults and the parents to change. They said, hey, if we're going to change, you better change too, you know. It was a very important time for our people to go through that then, you know. And part of the process of healing, what was told to me, when you heal and you empower yourself, you do 4 things. You pray, you share, you cry, and you laugh. And sitting with the elders and the elders in my circle, and the elders in my circle, they're all gone now, they're in heaven. So I take these teachings very seriously, and I try to share them. So I went through this process of praying and sharing, telling my story and being honest, crying, you know, healing people. And then and then the 4th one, laughing. I sat and I thought about this laughter thing for a while before I actually did it. I went to a women's wellness, and there was 800 women at this conference, and these were leaders and the shakers and movers of our people are the women. And all these powerful women came together, and they had this comedian up on stage at the banquet. And this guy was a Washichu, he was a white guy, you know, and he was talking derogatory, he was swearing a little bit, and the women were getting mad. They were sitting like this, like a bingo player waiting for the next number, you know. And the organizer came up to me and said, Don, I'm going to get this guy off stage. These women are going to kill him. Can you get up there and do some comedy? And I said, I'm not a comedian. I told you, I was just thinking about it. Oh, Don, you got to do it. So anyway, earlier that day, I said, I'm thinking about doing this comedy stuff, you know. So I walked on stage. They pulled this guy off stage. He said, I'm not done yet. I still got 20 more minutes. They said, no, you're done. They pulled this guy off stage. The women are clapping, cheering. Okay, our next comedian, Don Burnstick. And I walked on stage, and I had no material, no set, no jokes, nothing. I walked on stage with a microphone in front of 800 women, and I went, oh. It was pretty intimidating. But one of the things I do know is I know our people, I know our people. I know what makes them laugh. I know what tickles the funny bone of First Nation people. So I started talking about stuff, you know, about res life and growing up, and we got the outhouses, you know, and we got skinny dogs, big woman, bow-legged men with flat bums, you know. That's what I started talking about. All of a sudden, these women started laughing. And pretty soon they're laughing so hard, they're laughing, and they started clapping and cheering, and then I was done. You know, 25 minutes later, I was done. I was walking on stage. They cheered some more, bring them back, and I'm like, holy cow. And then that's when this thing hit, this laughter thing. It really took off, and it started. It was like throwing a pebble in a pond. And all these women who were in the group were business leaders, they were chiefs, they were counselors, they were directors, they were health directors. And pretty soon I started asking to go to these communities and do these shows, these wellness shows. And I was a little bit confused, and they said, you know, being a funny Indian in front of a bunch of drunken white people, that's not it, You know? And they said, do this for our people. Go to the communities. Go to the communities. It's time for our people to laugh. You know, so I said, okay, I'm gonna set up a community show. I set up this first show, and only 4 people showed up, you know? But then that's kind of how it started, you know. People were asking for this stuff. And this is before YouTube, this is before Facebook, before any of that stuff, Because right now you can sit there, you can punch up YouTube, you can punch up all my stuff on there, you know. But so what I did is I started producing my stuff. I'll take a percentage of what I made on my contract gigs. I'd put it into production. And all of a sudden this thing started. And when I first started doing comedy, I studied the comedians who were really funny, who didn't swear. Bill Cosby, Foxworthy, Carrot Top, these guys. The black people, they have the N-word, and they can say it to each other. Nobody else can say it, but they can say it to each other. So I'm saying, what kind of word can we have we can say to each other? So I started with the cousin. Hey, cousin, how you doing? Hey, cousin. You know, and this whole cousin thing, I started. And I turned it into a brand. And with the brand, I started my online store, and At every show and concert I have my my cousin paraphernalia. Even got cousin hats. Look, these are my cousin shirts. And I have cousin mitts, and I even have boxer shorts that say "Flat bums are sexy." I do. And the whole thing is about marketing, and using my image and my brand marketing. 90% of the stuff on YouTube is stuff that I put there. That's why I don't let my shows be recorded. And everybody has cell phones, and I ask that they don't record them. Some people still, I'm still gonna record it, you know. But the thing is, it's about having some type of control and using that to market myself. And it's all trial and error. You know, and it's very difficult to do that, because for me and for many of us as Indigenous peoples, we have this, it's like an Achilles heel for our people. We have a thing called Indian jealousy, and all of us has experienced that. Every successful Native I know, Ted Nolan, Monique Horn, Adam Beach, you know, we've all had to endure this massive lateral violence, Indian jealousy, and people have done that to me as well. You know, there's about 40 Native comedians out there in the United States and Canada, and most of them don't like me, because of how successful I've become. You know, and I say, you know, if one of us makes it, we all make it, You know, we need to get along. But a lot of them, oh, because he doesn't swear. He thinks he's so good. Because he doesn't do shows, he thinks he's so good. You know, and all this kind of stuff. But those are guidelines and parameters that were set down for me by my elders. And my elders told me this: if you want to be successful, this is how you got to do it. So I did. You know, I was all ready to go and do these comedy clubs and go to amateur night and slay them and do all this kind of stuff. But then they said, you got to go to communities. So I started going into communities, and I blazed a trail, you know, for our young people, you know, and for other upcoming comedians. If they don't want to take it, that's up to them. But there's this thing that is a sickness with our people, and we hold each other back, And that's the jealousy, the backbite. The place where I never get any support is from my own community. Very difficult to do anything in your own community. You got to almost go get success elsewhere and then come back. When I go back to my reserve, or when people meet other people from my reserve, oh yeah, Don Burnstick, yeah, he's my cousin. You know, he's from my reserve. But there was a time when it wasn't so, You know, and we need to get past that. And you know, I'll give you a good example of what I mean. Our black brothers and sisters, at one time, you know, they got movies, 12 Years a Slave, The Butler. They talk about the slave movement and the civil rights movement, and all this stuff happened, In the 60s, it all started with this beautiful, wonderful, powerful, strong woman named Rosa Parks. She said, I'm not going to go to the back. I'm going to sit right here. They stopped the bus. They tried to throw her out. A big fight started, a riot started, and the civil rights movement came out of that. You know, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and all, you know, it was pretty powerful stuff. And then the color line broke in sports, and of course it broke in Canada, Montreal, you know, with the baseball player, and then kept moving to Motown, and then they really supported each other, You know, with the music and the athletics, you know, and then they had Michael Jordan, you know. They had Tiger Woods for a while, then Tiger Woods went Indian, you know. He started snagging like a chief going to AFN. But anyway, and they got Oprah Winfrey. Now they have a black president. You see, they know how to do that, They learn how to do that by supporting each other. Russell Peters became a successful, one of Canada's most successful comedians, because his people went to his concerts. His people bought his stuff. His people sold out all his shows. His people did that. And they sent him on his way, and wow, you know, you're talking about us. Because most people didn't think East Indian people were funny. I didn't. He did that, you know. And for me, I'm not asking that for myself. You know, I'm 50 years old, I'm doing my thing, but there's somewhere out there in your communities,
There's going to be the next funny person. There's going to be the next brilliant, hysterical comedy writer, brilliant person who's going to take this thing to a whole nother level in your home, in your communities, whatever. And we need to nurture that. We need to support that. In the same way, each one of our communities, we have these young hockey players who can do magic with the hockey stick, but they get about 16, 17, they start drinking, partying, dating, and then they're done. And they say, hey, that guy could have made it. We have lots of stories of people who could have made it, with hockey. I remember this young man came up to me and said, hey, uncle, hey, look, I play hockey, I can skate backwards. A little chubby kid, like this. He's going backwards like this. Oh, you skate like that? Oh, that's awesome. But he loved hockey. And then he kept going, trying. And then 2 years ago, I watched this young man raise the Stanley Cup over his head, like this. And I was crying watching this, Jordan Nolan. But it took him, the dedication of his family and even his community. He said, no, I don't want to go party. I'm going to go to the gym. He told his friends that. And his friends supported that, His community supported that. So when we can take that, either in hockey, comedy, business, a business venture, and we can nurture it and we can support it and put those lateral violence things aside and put the gossip and the undermining aside. Oh, they got that because they're related to council. Like that's so res, And we gotta move past that because everything's changing out there so fast, Everything's changing out there so fast, and there's people that are making a stand, There was ones out there. I remember 23 years ago when the Mohawks made their stand, and all the media were there. When we make a stand like that, everybody watches. But we need to do that positively, business-wise. We need to do that to our role models and our youth. We need to encourage that. So what I'm doing now is I'm mentoring. I'm taking these young comedians with me on the road. I'm doing comedy tours. I'm taking these young guys and these young ladies, and I'm going, get on stage, come on, get up there and do it. And I'm trying to help these young people because as a mentor, for me, one of these comedians that's coming with me, if they're not bigger than me, more successful than me, richer than me, then I didn't do my job as a mentor. Minimizing the grants, cutting off education, all our funding on the reserves really got cut down. Our population base is growing, the funding has decreased, and the Conservative government is really, really doing that to us. So we need to work harder to maintain success, and we need each other to maintain that. Back in my reserve, our most longest running successful business for 26 years is our store on the res that sells cigarettes and gas, and stuff like that, That our convenience store. But it's run by Koreans. That's our most successful business. And we need to, and other people have tried to take over and run it, but nobody will go to it, because of the family rivalry and this stuff like that. And we gotta go beyond all that stuff, because we need to do it for our future, So it's an honor to be here with these brilliant minds, with these inspired, motivated people that you are. It's an exciting time, It's an exciting time for our people. What I do is I do a lot of fundraisers. I donate a lot of money, And that's what's different with us, with our people. We're into sharing, We share stuff. We help each other out, Years ago, when we'd bring in a big haul of fish, or we go hunting, we'd come back to the community and we'd give it away. And we still do that. That's how we are. It's different that way. White people raise their kids till they're 18, 19. They go, okay, get out, you're on your own, goodbye, send me an email. Natives raise our kids, don't leave, my boy. Stay. Don't move out, stay. I don't care if you're 35, stay. You want to shack up, go to the basement, just stay. I'll raise your kids for you, just stay. So that's where we keep our families close, we help our communities out, and we do these natural, instinctive things that are in our DNA as Native people. Now what we need to do is we need to transfer that just a little bit and do that in business. Support each other in businesses. Go to the support it, encourage it, talk about it, share it. this jealousy thing it needs to stop, you know? I remember the last thing I just want to say that when I first started this thing, I sat there at a ceremony with the elders, and the one said, right there, that one right there. And I didn't know what they were talking about. And they explained this. They said, for the Wasichus, that's what they call them, white people, they step on each other like this to get to the top of the mountain with well-known notoriety. They step on each other, you know, and they have these people to show off who they are, to showcase who they are as successful people. And they said that's how they do it, but they step on each other. What we're going to do is we're going to put one of our people up there, and everybody's going to know who this person is. And that person's you. And I'm sitting there, 17 years ago, you know, 33-year-old skinny guy, looked like Indian Michael Jackson. What are you talking about? You're gonna be on that. And they said this Cree word, this word, and I said I don't understand this. It's a box with a picture that moves, eh? And I was going to TV. You're gonna be on TV. Everybody's gonna know who you are, but everybody's gonna come after you. You know, not everybody, but a lot of people are gonna come after you. They're gonna get jealous. Prepare yourself. Years later, I knew when I became successful, when people started spreading rumors, started talking about me, started saying bad things about me, I'm going, yes, I'm successful. And we really see this dynamic happen with our people. A really tough time for our people is during election time. Oh, that's when we see the worst of it, eh? The gossip, the rumors, the backbiting, the undermining. And then it takes us a while to heal from that, our families to heal from that, eh? And then a couple years pass, and then it's election time again, nomination time. And it's just this constant cycle of conflict and friction, eh? You know? And we need to learn how to shift that a little bit, eh? After the election's over, let our leaders lead. Let them lead. Step back, mind your business, let them lead. Trust them in that, eh? Trust the people's decision. But we don't, eh? We appeal the election, we protest the election, we'll take over band offices, we'll do all this stuff, you know? We just don't know how to let that stuff go, you know? So the thing is, basically what I'm saying is that we gotta learn how to support each other in the same way other people do, eh? Other cultures do this. I met Asian people, what they do is they work really hard to put 4 families to work together to put one family to school, one individual to school. And then 4 of them work together, and then they'll put another individual through school. And they work together like that. The Jewish people, they're really tight that way, especially with money. They support each other's businesses, lots. East Indians, same thing. The white people, same thing. Like these circles of support, inner circles of support, these things are all happening culturally, you know? Why can't we do that? You know, we need to do that in order for us to succeed. So the thing is that we got to find support and support each other's businesses, network in a good way, help each other out. And from my experience, what I've seen, that's the key to success. You know, the key to personal success I found is to pray, to share, to cry, and laugh. Those 4 things took me from being a bum on the streets to a successful Native man. Those 4 things. Not just a successful Native man, but a successful Canadian. So I just want to thank you for, I wasn't expecting to speak. I came here to be funny. I'll be funny tonight. But having that opportunity to share a little bit about who I am and what I do, I want to thank the organizers for allowing me to share a little bit of my story, of keys to my success. And hopefully something I said has helped you, inspired you. And I want to just acknowledge all the white friends that are here. Come on, give them a hand, you guys. All my white friends, welcome. Indians are good money. So stick around. And I just want to say this, our way as Native people is if we like you, we're going to tease you. Right? The more we like you, the more we tease you. We tease you lots, we're going to give you a contract. We don't tease you. Time to move on. Anyway, thank you guys very much. See you later.